Today on my channel, we are going to be creating Chandelier 2.0, or rather a breakfast at Tiffany's inspired lighted chandelier. If you would like to see how I created this home decor, please stay tuned. For this project, you will need one of these Votive candle holders. It comes in a package of 2. You will need one of these sauce containers. These also come in a package of 4. You will need one of these 8.5-inch glass bowls, one of these decorative cake plates. You will also need one of these plastic saucers. This comes in a package of 12. And you will need 3 of these 4.5 glass tapered candle holders. You will need one of these LED push lights. And all of the aforementioned items came from the Dollar Tree. You will also need crystal garlands, any crystal garland of your choice, as well as crystal pendants if you choose to add these to your project. Of course, you'll need your handy dandy tools. Today we will be working with our soldering iron as well as our Gorilla Epoxy Clear. Let's get crafting. So the first thing that we're going to have to do is mount our candlesticks to ensure that they are going to be set to the side and drying while we work on the other components of our project. So I have already placed Gorilla Glue epoxy on these, and I'm just stacking them based on how I want them to lay. And once I have stacked them, I'm going to place them on a side so they can dry. Another component that we're going to have to prepare glue wise and have it set aside so that it can cure while we work is our bowl that we're going to be affixing, or rather our sauce cup that we're going to be affixing to the bottom of our bowl. And this component is going to be used as the base of our chandelier. So just going in with our epoxy, placing it on the bottom of that sauce cup, eyeballing my center, laying it down, and placing this bowl on a side so that it can dry while we continue with the rest of this project. So while we're waiting on those 2 components to dry, what we are going to do now is create the holes that we're going to need to hang our crystal garlands. To do this, we're going to be working with our decorative cake plate as well as our plastic saucer. And for my purposes, I'm going to go in on the 2 short ends of, well, the 2 ends of the short scallops. And these are where I'm going to be placing my holes on top. And on the bottom, I'm going to be placing my holes in the uplift or the uptick of those scallops underneath. And so using my soldering iron that has already been set to 450 degrees, I am going to begin to poke my holes in my short scallops. Now what you see here is I turned that plate around, because what happens is when you go in from the top, or I should say rather whatever is your entry point, you're going to get a little lip as that plate makes way for that hot needle to go in. And so it's easier if you go in from the underneath, you don't get that lip on top, and it will be much easier for you to get your rings clipped on. And so underneath, I am creating my holes, just trying to give you a good vantage point, and I'm going in from the back side of that plate as well, right on the uptick of those scallops, and I am making my holes with my soldering iron on 450 degrees. Of course, I will set this to the side and complete that process off camera. But what I want to show you now is how I made my holes on my saucer. And to do this, I am going to use Scotch tape to help me separate this plate or saucer or mini plate into 4 equal sections. And so if you see, I'm just taking a piece of Scotch tape and I'm laying it down horizontally, and then I'm going to take another piece and I'm going to lay it down vertically. Well, now horizontally because I changed the direction of the plate. But what I'm doing here is I'm actually sectioning this plate into 4 equal parts. And this is going to assist me in creating the 48 holes on top that we need to match the 48 holes that we're going to get on our cake plate. So now using my soldering iron, what I'm going to do is I am going to create holes in that Scotch tape, my Scotch tape just being a marker. So 2 holes there, 2 holes on that one, 2 holes there, and 2 holes there. And I promise you this is going to make sense in a minute. All right. And now what this is going to afford me is my beginning and my end of each section. Beginning and end, beginning and end, beginning and end. And already I know that each section has 2 holes, and now I need to make 10 holes in each section, because again we're going for 48 holes. 12 times 4 is 48. I already have my beginning hole and my ending hole, that's 2. So now I need 10 more, and now I'm just going in with my soldering iron and I'm eyeballing and creating these holes equidistant apart to make my 12. So let's count. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And so now I'm going to continue the process, that same process going all the way around that plate, finish it on my cake plate, and then I'll come back and show you how we're going to attach our crystals. All right, so now that we have created all the holes that we're going to need to complete this project, we are now going to start stringing, or threading rather, our crystal garlands to our plate. And what you see I'm doing here, I am using the short ones with the pennants to affix underneath the plate, and the long ones that I have separated by 14 crystals on each one, those are going to be the ones on the outside, or rather on the top of that plate. So quite simply, all I'm going to do is place my clip on the lip of that scallop. That scallop is very flat, so it's very easy to just slide that clip on there and rotate it until that clip is all the way around through that hole, and that pendant will be set to your plate. Here it is again. I just slid it on, forced one end through, and now I'm just forcing that ring around until the entire ring has gone through that hole. And then I'm going to continue that same process using the holes on top, and when I'm finished affixing all my crystals, I will come back to show you what it looks like. All right, so here we have our plate that is completely adorned with our crystals, our short pendants on the inside and our long ones on the outside. And now what we're going to do is build up our chandelier. So we're going to turn our bowl over with the sauce cup being the bottom of that base, or the bottom of our chandelier. And now using my Gorilla Glue epoxy, I am just going to place a very small amount going around the brim of this bowl. Now remember, we're not trying to use a lot. This stuff is very powerful, potent. A little bit goes a long way is what I'm trying to say. And so just using it very sparingly, because again, even though it dries clear, we don't want it falling in on the inside or seeping out on the outside, and then we have much unnecessary cleanup to do. So just very sparingly going around the edge of that bowl from one side to the other. And then what we're going to do is place our cake plate on top of that. Now the reason why I like working with these cake plates, as you can see, it on the bottom right hand corner of your screen is that it is very visibly demarcated with some circles, and so finding or centering this rather is very easy to do. And as you can see, I stood up so that I could get a better vantage point of what I'm doing, but as you can see, it was very easy for me to place that plate on top of the bowl because of those circles. Now that the cake plate is down, I'm going to continue with my Gorilla Epoxy, going around the edge, the outer edge of that candle holder. And again, the same thing, not too much, not too little, but just enough so that it's not, falling in to the candle holder, or it's not seeping out and leaving just a goopy mess. And once I have placed that Gorilla Glue all the way around the perimeter of that candle holder, I am going to place this in the middle of that plate. And as you can see, these circles are coming in very handy. And once I have found my center and my placement, I'm placing it down, and I really don't even want to touch it and move it too much because it went down perfectly. And so now the last thing we have to do in terms of our buildup, we are now going to place that Gorilla Epoxy glue on the top of that candle holder. Again, not too much, not too little, but just right. Kind of like the Three Little Bears. Just enough so that it holds, and not too much so that we're cleaning up or we have a mess. And once I have placed that epoxy down, what we're going to do is take our saucer, making sure that that saucer, that plastic saucer, is placed or turned upside down. And then we are going to place that saucer on top of that candle holder. And I don't know if you saw it, but that plate also has a center demarcation, and so it was very easy to place it. I'm going to set this on the side to dry, and then I'm going to come back and show you how we're going to connect our crystals. All right, so now that everything is dried and nicely set, it is now time for us to place our garlands or attach our garlands to the top of that plastic plate. And to do this, it is really, guys, very simple, because that plastic plate is so flat, you are barely opening that clip just to slide it on, get the first part of that ring in through one of those holes, and turn it maybe once or twice to ensure that that ring is all the way through. And so I'm just going to continue this process, going all the way around our plate until every single one of those 48 chains on our cake plate has been attached to the 48 holes on our saucer. So now here we have placed all of our garlands on our chandelier. That is beautiful, guys. It is starting to come together. And so now the last thing that we have to do is take what we're going to be using as our end cap, which is our small votive candle holder, and just taking some of that Gorilla Glue epoxy and putting it around the inner edge of that votive candle holder, not necessarily on the entire edge, not even to the outward edge, but only on the inner edge. And once you have placed that epoxy down, we're going to turn that bowl upside down, center it on that saucer, and set it and forget it to dry. We don't have to finagle with this too much. And then finally, the last thing that we have to do, which I know this was not in the introduction, but looking at it, I thought it just needed one more component to set it off. So I am using a crystal doorknob to place on top of the votive candle holder that we just put down by using a little dab of glue, placing it in the middle, holding it because that glue is so slippery, It tends to slide, as we saw from our desert cloches that we made earlier this week. But now I'm gonna clean it up, set the table, and I'll be back to show you what our finished project looks like. And here we have it, my darlings. Our breakfast at Tiffany's inspired Dollar Tree lighted chandelier, or should I say chandelier 2.0, because this is the second one that we have made together. But I think we did a wonderful job, my loves. This came out, or rather turned out, fantastically. As you can see, what I did with our push light was that I put it underneath our sauce cup, so that what it does is it illuminates the base, and that light carries all the way through the stem, giving our chandelier a nice warm glow. And as you can see, the prisms that light is creating, you would think that, wow, that's not enough light, but really and truly it is. So I think we nailed this chandelier today, my darlings. Listen, if you have found any value in this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, as well as leave me a comment in the comment section below. To my Danny's darlings, as usual and as always, it is always a pleasure to hear from you. I thank you for the questions, the comments, the kind words. I say to you, please know that you are all appreciated. And if you are not yet a Danny's darling and you just happened upon our channel today, kindly consider joining our ever-growing community of DIYers as we craft with and learn from each other on a weekly basis. If you do choose to subscribe today, please be sure to click that notification button to ensure that you will be made aware anytime one of my videos are being published. Well, my darlings, I will leave you with this. We know what the motto of our channel is, so say it with me. Why buy when you can DIY? And so until next time, this is Danielle. Please be well, my loves. Take care of yourself. Know that I love you all. And until next time, bye now.